will continue talking about depression. I watched my first video and it's long. So I think what I'll do today, I'll repeat just some basic ideas from the first video. If you didn't see it, it's fine. And if you saw it, if you watched it, there'll be just some reminders. So the main point I wanted you to see is that depression is not you. Depression is a foreign organism. In fact, some of my patients stopped calling it depression because it's such a huge, loaded word. They just say D. And I have some patients who decided to call it Diane or Donald. D is fine, depression is fine. But what would be best is if you could just stop using this English phrase I am depressed. Because even though it's grammatically correct, it's not true. You are not depressed, you are you. Depression is something that came to occupy your mind and body, but it's not you. And just to remind how to recognize depression is by paying attention to these words like anything, everything, never, ever, nothing, nobody. Nobody likes me, nothing is going to work, I'll never succeed. This is not you talking, this is depression talking, and these global words like never or nobody or everybody hates me. These words, this is your key or clue that this is not you, this is depression. And in the first video I said that there is no safety in your room. I would like to stop there and explain why you shouldn't be sitting in your room even though it might feel safe. Because this is the trap the depression set for you. Depression wants you to stay in your room. You know why? Because it's just you and depression. You have nothing to pay attention to, just your depression. And the more of your attention you give to depression, the more of yourself you give to it, the more you feed it, the bigger it grows. The more you spend in your room, the more unpleasant getting out of it is going to be. I had a patient who missed a session, and I asked her, why didn't you come last week? And she said, I felt too depressed to leave my room. So think about it, how irrational is that? It's like I felt too sick to take a medication. Because of course, when you feel sad, when you feel down, when you feel depressed, that's exactly when you should see your therapist. However, if you feel so depressed that you are not leaving your room, then this battle has been won by depression. So again, there is no safety in your room because that's the trap. That's exactly where your depression wants you to be. Because in your room there is nothing else. Just you and your depression, and you're paying attention to your depression rather than to yourself. Now, how do you start paying attention to yourself? Where do you find that safety? Safety is an action, and the action has to be small. In fact, that's the key. You need to think about the smallest action you can take now. Here is why it should be small. Because of course, should you think of a bigger action, depression will convince you that it's not going to work. When your action is small, depression will be convincing you that it doesn't mean anything. And remember your response to depression from the last video? Your response is always, maybe so, but. Maybe it's not going to change my life, but I'm going to do that anyway. Maybe it's not going to work, but I'm going to give it a try. So I'll just tell you a short story. I had a patient and she was looking for the smallest action she could take, and she decided that it would be going and having her nails done. And she did, and she got her nails done. And when she came next week and her hands looked beautiful, she said, oh, but it's nothing. it doesn't mean anything, so what? And I asked her, who is talking now? And of course, it wasn't her talking, it was her depression talking. Because definitely it wasn't nothing, it was her nails. She had an idea, she had a plan, she took action, she succeeded, she got exactly the result she was hoping to get. She got beautiful nails. For sure, it's not going to change her life, but it's not nothing. This is what depression wanted her to believe. In fact, I'll convince you that there was a huge symbolism in that action that helped her. Because I said, look, you have your beautiful nails. What's the next small action that you can take? And at first she thought that the small action would be joining the gym, but it proved to be too big for her. So she started with going to the store and getting nice pants for herself to go to the gym. That was her next action. And the following week, she actually reached out to her former employer and asked for a letter of recommendation. She is not out of the woods, by no means, but you can see how one small action enabled another small action. And that's what I would love for you to start to consider. Small actions that you can take now. Please do not evaluate whether they are meaningless or meaningful, whether they make sense or not, because it's not you who will be making a judgment. It's your depression who is going to make this judgment. So don't play this game. If you think you could go take a walk along the beach, but it doesn't mean anything, you're still going to be sad, remember your response. Maybe so, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you can't have your nails done, it's not going to change your life, you're still going to be sad, maybe so, but the only thing I would love for you to recognize right now is that your safety lies in small, tiny actions you can take now. Now I'll explain why. Because depression, remember, it occupies your mind, it also occupies your body. By taking care of her nails, that girl won a little piece of her body over the depression. It was a small battle, but she won it. She took care of her body. She started taking care of herself. Taking care of your mind is a little bit more difficult, but it will come too. The main point is take actions and start your fight by picking the smallest battles possible. In fact, if your depression tells you it's not a big deal at all, it's not going to change anything, it's great. It means you picked your small battle and your depression is terrified that you will do it, that you will succeed. That's why it's trying to convince you it's meaningless. So safety is in action, because when you're taking actions, you start going through your personal hell. You're going through it, you're not getting stuck in it, and it's extremely important. So again, just remember that when depression tries to convince you that it's not going to work, that it's meaningless, that it's not going to change anything, your response is maybe so, but. So I want to talk a little bit more about those small actions. They should be small so that you don't frighten your depression and you don't have a big fight with it. They also should be different. Most of my patients like starting with taking care of their body. However, the idea that nothing ever works comes from personal experience, because they've tried some things and those things didn't work. So try something different. I had a patient who tried yoga over and over again. I'm a big fan of yoga personally, but it didn't work for her. It did nothing for her. She was just feeling sad. She was feeling down. And so eventually she said, you know what, I'm going to try fencing. And for some reason it worked great for her. The point is, don't be stuck in doing the same action over and over again. If it doesn't work for you, it's not a big deal. Try something else. Taking care of your body is easier than taking care of your mind, so start with that. Now I'm going to give you another trick. The first is remember, maybe so bad. The second trick is become your own friend. Most people who fight depression tell me that mornings is the most difficult time for them. For some people it's the morning because they have to leave the safety of their house. For others it's the evening because the action is over, it's the downtime. That's when they feel the saddest. So this is when you should play a little game that you're your own friend. You talk to yourself just like you would be talking to a friend who is fighting depression. You can say, okay, it's morning. How about we get out of the bed? How about we take the shower? Take yourself to a shower, just like you would take your friend to a shower. I know it sounds silly, but it really helps when you start befriending yourself. In fact, that's when you stop paying attention to your depression and you start paying attention to yourself by being your own self. Ideally is to become your own parent, but we'll talk about it later and it could be difficult, but you can be your friend. And if you hear these thoughts in your mind, oh, this is stupid, that's not gonna work, ask yourself, would you be talking to your friend like this? And if the answer is no, then do not talk to yourself this way. Be your own friend. It's morning, friend. Let's go to the shower. Let's leave the house and let's try to make it on time. The same strategy works at nights, of course. Let's do something nice. Let's have ice cream. Let's watch a movie. So as soon as you befriend yourself and start simply talking nicely to yourself, all of a sudden you'll start paying attention more to yourself and less to depression. So 2 tricks. The actions should be different and you become your own friend. In fact, what I would love for you to do right now is to pause and just make a decision to be your friend. No matter what happened to you in the past, no matter how people have treated you or are treating you right now, no matter what's going on in your life, you should be your friend. You shouldn't punish yourself with negative thoughts. You shouldn't be cruel to yourself and you shouldn't be embarrassing yourself. You should be nice to yourself and supportive and treating yourself as a friend. And then, no matter how bad things are, you'll have at least one friend in your life, right? Speaking of small actions, I just recalled another patient who actually didn't want to leave her room for a while, but she had a treadmill in her room. So her initial small action was simply use the treadmill she already had. So again, start with the most simple thing. Find the simplest, the smallest action possible. Go ahead, do it. Even if it doesn't make sense. Even if it's not going to bring huge changes into your life. Do it because you have to do something. And then find another small action. In fact, here's what I would love for you to do. When you pick the small action, when you do it, the next thing you do is think of another small action. And ask yourself 2 questions. First, what you can do, what your next small action will be. And second, when you're going to do it. And then make a commitment. You cannot go wrong with this. It can be anything. Do not try to solve your life's problems. Do not try to find perfect relationship, perfect job. Don't even think of it. Think about what you can do for yourself now. That's small but potentially enjoyable. That's all. If it's your nails, it's your nails. If it's walk along the beach, it's walk along the beach. If it's listening to a nice music, a nice piece of music, it's listening to music. It really doesn't matter. I would prefer that the action is outside of your house, but even if you have to stay in for now, that's fine too, as long as you can pick a small action, do it, and then ask yourself, what is my next small action and when I'm going to do it, and then making a commitment to the next small action. And of course, once you do it, you ask yourself the same question again. And remember, once you start doing this, depression will be fighting you. You'll have lots of negative thoughts. You'll have showers of negative thoughts about how it's stupid, how it's never going to work. You're having those thoughts now. How it's ridiculous, how nobody is going to like you and nothing is going to change. Maybe so. But do it anyway, because you've got to be going through your hell. In fact, this is the question I always ask my patients when they come to my session. Are you going through your personal hell, or are you stuck in it? And if the answer is, I'm going, then it's okay. Because even the direction is not important. What's important is the action. You're in hell, get going.